All right, hey everyone, Vito from MoreBeer here. I'm sitting with Marc and Ian of Aroma Sciences. They've got an awesome new product that I've been wanting to try, but we're gonna sit down, talk about it, let you guys know about it. So let's go ahead and dig in. And tell me a little bit about it.
So basically what it is an aromatic extract of oak. We're taking oak barrels and we're taking all the aroma out of that oak and putting it into a format that you can use post-fermentation. So you can add this even after it's been filtered to get oak character in beer and in wine and in spirits without any of the risk associated with barrels and indeed the cost and time. This invention is a really new means of extracting. There's only a few means of extracting. One of them is solvents and the other one is steam distillation. But why this is new is because it uses the process by which we smell things. So if you think about a rose in a garden, when you smell that rose, you're not literally smelling the rose, you're smelling the volatile compounds that evaporate from the rose. They enter your nose and through the airspace, and you smell a rose. And you can walk in a garden and you can smell from one bush to the next, they all smell different. And the reason is because there's so many compounds that are evaporating off. Well, that's not how conventional extraction works. There you employ a solvent, and the solvent is very specific. And an extract will smell of a rose, but it won't have exactly the character of that rose. But when you evaporate those molecules, that's where you get a true extraction, and that's what we're doing. So we're taking wood from barrels, and this is a wine barrel cask. We're taking this inner layer off, we're toasting it to develop those flavors, we're grinding it up and we're putting it into our machine, and the machine evaporates all of the aroma compounds from the oak, and we capture them into alcohol such that they can be used in beer and in wine and in distilled beverages.
So the oak, what type of oak are you guys using? Is it American, French?
And that's a French oak wine barrel, and this is a stave from a American oak spirit barrel. So you can see the char inside, and of course where it leaks, some of these little diamonds on the outside.
Awesome. So we're talking about the barrels. So where exactly do you guys source these barrels? Because it sounds like they've been used once.
Yeah. This whole sort of sustainability aim that we're trying to do here is because these barrels typically, after they've been used in a winery, say 3 or 4 times, they end up as a planter in Home Depot. so we've got a real good sustainability story here, and these come from typically California wineries. We're here, so we source them from wineries. The spirits barrels that Marc's got there, they coming from typically Kentucky.
Yep, Kentucky, yeah. The rum is brought in from Barbados, a distillery in Barbados. Yeah.
So the char that's on there currently, you guys are scraping that off and then adding another level of toast to it, is that correct?
Yeah, we do. We brush it off here. We do try to, on the spirit barrels, we try to retain some of this inner layer because it does have some input to the final aroma. But on the wine barrels, we really do plane off all of it because we don't want to, if there's any yeast or any malolactic bacteria, things like that, they don't taste particularly great when you cook them. So.
Yeah. So that's some awesome technology. I mean, is there anything else that process? So it's not, you're not using a solvent, so that's great.
No, we're not. So we've got a diagram that we can refer to that you can see. What the process works by, we take hot air, so we've got a blower that produces high pressure air, and we heat that air very precisely. And into that airstream, we put particles of wood. We take these staves and granulate them. And so that as a sawdust, it flows into a chamber, and then there's a set of tubes of varying diameter, and it's incredibly turbulent in there, it's hot, and that causes all of the aroma molecules to evaporate from the wood particles. We then cyclone out the solids so that we've now got vapor-laden air, and into that we spray cold ethanol, and that causes all of the aroma molecules to condense into the alcohol. We then return the air to get more wood, and that's basically how our product is made. It's a very elegant, simple process, but it creates just an extraordinary aroma, and it allows you to as I say, use it in beer, where putting oak into beer is pretty difficult. So you've got to
Yeah, that's a great, let's talk about that, like with the application of this product. And that's what excited me to try it, because, you know, as a brewer for many years and you know, home brewer, oak is, you know, it's a living organism. Putting your beer in there and letting it stay in there, I mean, takes a while, right?
Yeah.
Color changes because you have micro-oxidation. So let's talk through some of the benefits of your product.
Yeah.
Well, it offers a lot of control, I think, first of all. You can control the amount of time. It's fairly instant. You can make sure it's consistent depending on how much oak or barrel character you want to impart into your beer, wine, spirit, whatever you're working with. It's very cost effective because you get a lot from one used barrel that we can extract. You can do a lot more than what you can age in that barrel, right?
About 100-fold.
About 100 times more.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's fairly cost-effective way of working, and like I said, it's repeatable. There's no chance of adding anything it would contaminate, because there are contamination risks, obviously, with barrel aging. With this being in an ethanol base, there's no bacteria in there that's gonna run things.
It's sterile. You've got no oxidation risk and no infection risk.
Mm-hmm. Right. I would recommend using it post fermentation. So if you are in the process of racking from a carboy into a keg, you could put it straight into the keg and then rack on top of it. It's fully miscible in the liquid. It's not an emulsion. It's not an oil. It's nothing that's going to be difficult to mix in. It'll be fully integrated by the time the keg is full.
So say I was going to, we'll do homebrew calculations, but say I was going to, I've got a 5-gallon keg. About how much of this would I need to get some decent barrel character?
You know, it really depends on the style of beer that you're doing and the amount of oak that you want, how assertive the base beer is. But these that you guys carry are 1 ounce bottles. In a 1 ounce bottle, if you use the entire thing in a 5-gallon batch, it would give about 1,500 parts per million, which is a good hefty
Sounds aggressive,
dose.
yeah.
So you could use probably a third of that in your typical beer. And even if you use just maybe 5 milliliters in a 5-gallon beer, I think you'd get 250 parts per million. At that point, you can start tasting the oak.
That's why I love you got the little droppers in there, so you could actually do some bench trials to see what you'd want. Do a 12-ounce glass of whatever.
Yeah, they're graduated droppers, so you know exactly at 1 mil.
Yeah, that's exactly how you do it.
And I love, we were talking about before, different styles that we could use this in. Obviously like barrel-aged stouts and come to mind, but we were talking about lagers. There's a lot of breweries turning out these barrel-aged lagers that I've just been loving. But barrel-aged lager, you got color, all these different things that are going to apply to that. So I love being able to use that product for this.
Yeah, it really does add a lot of complexity, even when you're putting it in at, I would say, like under threshold level, so in the 200 ppm range. It just adds a complexity to a fairly clean tasting beer that just makes it a little bit more interesting, I think.
When I was home brewing, I would always brew 10-gallon batches and then do 5 gallons traditional and then 5 gallons split batch and dry hop the other one or try a different yeast. But now you can do a barrel character right in the keg, right?
Yes.
Just kind of add this on in.
Absolutely.
If you're a competition brewer and it gets you another competition entry, things like that. So I love that. And then getting that classic. Those are really starting to come back in style too, like the Pivo Grateschi and things like that have that like barrel kind of quality to them.
And if you do have a barrel-aged beer and then the barrel didn't quite give up what you were hoping for, maybe it's a little bit muted flavor, this is a nice way of just bumping up what's already there too. So you don't have to use it to replace the barrel necessarily. It can be used
augment. I love that. That's
exactly,
a great one.
Yeah.
And one of the things how I was introduced to it is Chris Graham had the spray, and we just kind of sprayed it right into a beer.
Yeah.
And I loved doing that. That was kind of neat.
Yep, absolutely. Spray it right in. You can get a good idea. You can spray it on top of.
Oh man, that is amazing. Huge vanilla on this.
That's the French oak one.
French oak, okay.
But we've so we have the French and American, which is just the wine barrels where we've taken really just to get the oak character. Mm-hmm. But as Marc hinted earlier, we can take spirit barrels. We leave the outer layer, or the inner layer, I should say, intact. And then that exhibits, if we take a new cup here, that exhibits the real essence of that barrel. So you've got a bourbon thing going on there.
This I'm getting like those caramel, those toffee bourbon notes.
Exactly.
Yeah, with the vanilla.
With the vanilla
stuff,
and the clove,
Yep,
and that
clove,
oak
yep.
lactone.
Yep. So you have the input from the wood, but also some from the spirit that was in the barrel.
Wow, that's amazing.
And check that out. This is a new product that we're just about to launch, and that's made of
Botanical, like kind of,
yeah. I mean that's from a rum barrel.
Okay.
So it's American oak. Typically they age bourbon in a rum barrel, and it goes off to the Caribbean, and then they use it to age.
Yeah, I'm getting
rum.
those like molasses kind of notes
Exactly.
and stuff too. Yeah,
exactly.
Man, that's amazing. So we've got French oak, we got American oak,
Yep.
rum barrel, bourbon barrel.
Yep.
What other offerings do you guys have?
So we've got the TTB have just approved a brandy barrel. So all these are approved by the FDA and the TTB. They're all generally regarded as safe. And we've got this new one that is not oak. We noticed that the whiskey guys are going crazy for this Brazilian wood called Ambarana.
Ah, okay.
So Ambarana's, I think it's in the teak family.
It's in the teak family, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a Brazilian hardwood, and we're taking barrels and we're making this extract, and it's so different. So it's got a lot of cinnamon, vanilla, butterscotch, but it's just
Baking spice, yeah.
Spice, yeah.
incredibly potent. And you can now actually use that in beer. You can use it in spirits. I wouldn't recommend it for wine, but you can certainly, it works well in beer, it works well in spirits, and it even works well in ice cream, you know?
Oh, that's a great idea. I love that one.
It reminds me of walking into the mall when the Cinnabon is cranking up.
Yeah.
It smells kind of like
big
that.
cinnamon in there. So let's talk about some of the different applications. So beer we've talked about a lot. What other things we put this in? You said.
So it can be used in wine I mean, most wine doesn't even see a barrel. It's not cost effective, but you can adjust dose rates or oak in wine. We've had some interesting success in the wine industry where we can just add a little of this to adjust barrel character. It can be used in spirits, not all spirits. I mean, so you can't use it in bourbon, for instance, but you can use it in brandy.
Legally,
because to get the class,
to get the classification.
Yeah, but if you're at home, if you're dabbling in distillation at home, you can use it as you would. But it does help to kind of give an accelerated aging type of effect, and so you're getting nice barrel notes, immediately. Really.
Where I could see this too is, I love beer. But I do a lot of mixed drinks at home, and just a little spray right on the top to add some like
aromatic
aromatic
garnish,
garnish. There we go.
Yeah.
Or even at going out to drinks. Do you guys sell this to mixologists and places like that?
We're working on it.
And another interesting application is in non-alcohol, because this has such a very pronounced spirit character. If you were to mix it into, say, like a cola or something like that, you can really make a convincing whiskey and Coke or whiskey and whatever,
and it's
still keep it under 0.5% alcohol. Wow, so for like RTDs or non-alcohol applications, you can make a really nice sort of mock alcohol beverage.
I've been leaning, I do a lot of hop water now at home and things like that, and just I'm not trying to drink as much alcohol, so I love that. Just to add a little spritz in there, or drop
one mil in a 200 mil Coke with ice. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm hanging out, and then I have the aroma that I'm having a drink, but don't need to
or
get
you
the
can
alcohol.
make just a half a shot of
but make it feel like it's a full thing. Yeah, I love that. That's great. All right, so how does Aroma Sciences compare to other tannins that are on the market, liquid and powder, and et cetera?
Yeah, they're really complementary. A lot of the tannins on the market are focused just on that. They're water extracts, and they're loaded with tannic acid and the big sort of molecules that create blockiness and rounded tannins in your mouth. So they're really about mouthfeel. This is about flavor and aroma. So what we're doing is capturing the aroma. We're leaving a lot of those tannins behind. And in beer, that's really important, because if you introduce tannins, you've got now a protein tannin complex, and you've got a haze on your hand that's unstable, and it settles and it doesn't settle, and it's really unpredictable. With this, we're focusing on the aroma. We're capturing the aroma. Those other products, they're capturing the tannins. And so they really are they do different things.
So beer making, I mean, this is great. Wine making, I could use this to supplement or augment my tannin additions.
Yes, that's
after
right.
I've hit the mouthfeel that I want. Now I want to add a little more.
Yeah,
aroma.
you want to get
Exactly.
that aromatic, that flavor that's on your tongue and in your nose, as opposed to around the sides of your mouth.
So we talked about commercial applications. So let's talk about the legal use. Homebrewers can go crazy with this stuff. The commercial side. So what is the legal use for all our commercial brewers that are watching this?
It's permitted in beer.
Okay.
We've got something called a FID sheet that commercial brewers would know about. It's permitted in non-standard wines currently, and it's permitted in spirits. But there are specific rules around straight spirits, bourbon. Bourbon's a protected name, so you can't use it in that, but pretty much anything else you can use it. And in fact, in some spirits, you don't even need to put it on the label. You can just use it. Brandy is a good example of that, where you can just is traditionally used. So.
But even if there is labeling required, it's completely natural, right? So it's just the hot air of wood and the ethanol that scrubs the air. So it's a natural oak barrel flavor.
So for the commercial side, since we're talking about it, I mean, this is a smaller application. Like if I use this whole bottle, what would it do? And do you guys have a bigger size product for that side of the house?
Yeah, absolutely. We start for the commercial sales, we start at a 1 liter bottle, have a 5 liter, 10 liter, 20, at 40. We can go up to 55 gallon drums or the big 275 gallon totes. So yeah, really any format we can comfortably accommodate.
Yeah. It's all made here. It's made in Colorado, in Boulder, Colorado. So
okay.
U.S.
And on the homebrew side, through MoreBeer, we have the American oak, we have the French oak, and then also I think you guys just brought in some bourbon barrel extracts. So I'm not sure if it's available yet, but
What are some of the best examples of beers you guys have had using your products?
right, I
Your
think
favorites.
I think it really. I think the go-to for a lot of people is in a big, heavy, dark beer, Imperial Stout, Imperial Porter. So those are, a lot of the experimentation that Ian and I have done on Benchtop have been with beers like that, like a Speedway Stout from AleSmith or Deschutes Black Butte Porter, Toast That. So these flavors play well in those types of beers. But I wouldn't, discount, like we said before, about the light lagers. Things like that can also be enhanced nicely. Anything that has a nice malt character, a red ale sort of thing. I don't necessarily go in IPAs so much. I think the hops are, but
it works great in a Helles.
Yeah, it works.
Munich Helles style, it works really well.
Exactly.
Which we're drinking right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should
Shall we douse these and try them? Then?
Yeah,
let's
by
do
all
it.
means.
Yeah.
What do you think?
All right, so we've got this Munich lager that we've been enjoying. We have another can here, so I'm gonna top us all off, and then we're gonna douse it with this Aroma Science barrel age and see the difference.
Why don't we put a few drops in first? This one.
then
Oh, they'll mix it
Yeah,
in. Yeah,
yeah,
love
yeah.
it. Go for
Okay.
it. Yeah.
So we'll get yours first. It's probably going to take a couple drops, really. You want to see how that goes?
Yeah. So 4 drops in there. We'll get that all mixed in.
And then depending on what you think, we can go either way with ours.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. It's present, but not overpowering with that amount.
Yeah, and I think that's probably consistent with that particular style of beer.
And it definitely, changed. Yeah, like I almost feel like I got a different kind of mouthfeel to it. And it's probably just from the aroma, kind of, tricking me into the.
We found that in wine. It softens wine. It seems to reduce to reduce the acidity a little bit. I mean, it doesn't. We measure the pH, but it gives that a sort of a smoothness and
I think getting that little vanilla character just kind of tricks your mind into like, wow, there's more body here.
You want to try it?
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here.
That's beautiful. I mean, I could smell it from here right when you open it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll top you off.
Brilliant. Thanks, Vito.
Thanks to our friends at Oakland United for this delicious Munich lager.
More or less? What do you think?
No, that's about right.
Okay, here we go.
I think in a dark beer you'd want more.
Yeah, we're doing
but in a light beer.
Yeah. So like I said,
style,
one of these 1 ounce bottles will do 5 gallons.
Aggressively,
Yeah, exactly. So 15 gallons if you want to kind of go on the lighter side here.
Yeah, I love what it does to the aroma. It's like we have, whole different beer now, or a different iteration of the beer style, which I love.
Just a nice touch of oak. Yeah, it's very good.
So, you know, barrel aging, inherent risks. You know, I've ran barrel projects, and you put your beer in, you hopefully, you know, you taste them, some are great, you get micro-oxidation, especially for homebrewers that are using the smaller barrels, that surface area. So being able to consistently, I'll say consistently, always add that aroma is very intriguing to me. You had a story of how you kind of saved the day.
Yeah, absolutely. There are inherent risks with barrel aging, especially kind of lower alcohol product like beer. So I had one customer who had a big beer and cigar tasting event that they were going to be doing, and they went to rack off the beer from the barrels, and they realized that it was just spoiled, sour, no good, not appropriate to serve. So I had been at the brewery just a week or so earlier and left him with some samples, and he took everything I had, put it into a keg, and was able to make a really nice, I think it was a kind of a oaked porter, let's say. And it went along well with the cigars. Everybody loved it. The sales guys from the brewery loved it. They put it in the tap room. People loved it. It was just a kind of save the day situation. So yeah, it's a
big brewery.
Yeah, a big brewery too. It's nice it's a nice tool to have in the toolbox. Right?
Yeah, definitely. To be able to consistently offer that and not have to take up space, etc., and change the beer greatly in some, you know, oak aging in some cases. So I love being able to just introduce that. Any arrow you could add into a brewer's quiver is really cool.
Exactly.
All right, Marc, Ian, thanks for joining us. Looking forward to brewing with this product. I'm brewing this weekend. I might introduce it into the batch. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.
Cheers.